You're listening to The Inevitable Radio Show. I'm Bill Sumner. Today we're going to talk about how do we create greatness? How do we take conscious control of our life? How do we own more of what's taking place and release and let go of the crap that is plaguing you and the stuff that is holding you back and the gunk and the garbage that covers what I believe to be within every being on this planet? A beautiful soul, an incredible depth, magical powers, extraordinary capabilities to drive a life forward, to create virtually anything that you want on the planet. You're listening to William Sumner. I am the host of The Inevitable Radio Show, hosting your stories, your truth, your challenges, your inevitability. And I'm here to help you, to challenge you, to call you out to your greatness, to call you out to get out of the hole that you're in. Now, one of the tools I want to talk a little bit about, when you're in the middle of a disaster, when you're in the middle of a challenge, you've been fired from your job, you've lost your house, oftentimes many people can come back and go, in the midst of that disaster, that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And then in the same breath, they can go, and you know what? It's the best thing that ever happened to me. Because of that, I met my spouse. Because of that, I got a new job. Because of that, I moved to another part of the town or another part of the country, and my new life took off. And it never would have happened the way it did were it not for the disaster. So even if you're in the middle of a disaster, even if you're in the middle of pain right now, you can time travel 1 year, 5 years in the future. Because you already are good at time traveling. You don't know that because you haven't been taught that. But you time travel to the past quite readily. You will revisit an argument. You will revisit a failure. You will revisit a problem. And you will watch that movie over and over again, seeing yourself fail, seeing the pain happen, occasionally throwing in, well, I would have said this or I should have done that. But generally, it's a grand exercise in beating the crap out of yourself by watching this crappy movie over and over again. And when you're stuck in that time travel zone, it's very hard to look to the future and say, wow, I'm going to be great. Wow, I'm going to create greatness out of this. Wow, what an incredible gift this disaster was for me. Most people have to arrive there through the course of time. They have to wait a year until they finally feel better just by the natural process of time. And we even have an expression for that. Time heals all wounds. No, time does not. We heal. Can we accelerate that healing? Absolutely. How do you do that? The same way you're doing it today. You're time traveling to the past today. You're time traveling to another place and watching a movie of your performance. It's just not helping you. Time travel to your future. Time travel to the place that you're already healed. You have enough strategies. You know enough truths about how to do that. Because you can go back to the worst problem you've ever had. I gradually forgave the problem. I gradually stopped thinking angry thoughts. I gradually looked at the good that came out of it, and I spent more time watching that movie. Go into the future. Time travel as far into the future as you want. Oh, how about time traveling to today? How about this afternoon? How about when you go on that sales call this afternoon, instead of plugging in a movie that says the economy is bad and my company is in terrible danger and I can't win any business, instead of plugging that movie in and time traveling to the past or time traveling to the future because you're projecting this terrible past, time travel to this afternoon and see an incredible movie. See yourself as Captain James Tiberius Kirk on your starship. Starship Sumner, Starship Smith, Starship Doe. And be the captain and be the hero and win the day and save the damsel and defeat the dragon. You can do that. And when you do that, guess what happens this afternoon? Do you win every time? No. But here's what we know from all success-based psychology. not only do you have a greater chance, the likelihood and probability that you will win this afternoon is greatly elevated. And the probability that you're going to win this afternoon when you're playing an old crappy movie where you cannot win and you cannot have greatness is very, very low. It's really hard to win when you go into a staff meeting, a client scenario, when you're playing a movie that they're just going to say no. They're just not going to, it's just a terrible time. The movie is playing, watch the economy, the SSS economy sink. Watch my SSS 401k sink. And that's the movie many of you play. Change the movie. Do what you know how to do best. Time travel. Don't go visit the past and play a totally crappy movie again. Time travel to your future. Play a great movie. And the future can be today. The future could be tomorrow. The future could be your end of quarter, end of semester finals. And you see yourself answering every question, smiling broadly because your studies went well, feeling awesome. You're prepared. You're ready. You know the material. And when you give your conscious and unconscious mind and psychology those types of imagery to watch and put it on a big screen and make it in living color and turn the sound up, and it opens your mind, it energizes neural networks, it lights up resources that you have already today to play, versus watching this movie and instead of in living color, big screen, big sound, but it's the customer laughing at you. It's the customer saying no, feeling awkward and wondering what terrible thing is going to happen to you that day. And you play that movie over and over again. This process where we play movies and we experience the movie is called association and disassociation. When you associate to the movie that's playing in your mind, you see it, hear it, feel it, know it, and big, big adjectives, big color, big screen, big sound, big kinesthetic internalization of the movie. Now, if it's a crappy movie you're watching, it'll feel really crappy. If it's an incredible, great movie that you're watching, it'll feel incredibly great. What we do in the society, many of us, is we watch crappy movies and make them great, which means they have really crappy endings for us. And occasionally, when we do watch a good movie, it's not a great movie. And the reason why it's not a great movie is we turn the volume down. We take it off the big movie screen and put it in a TV. We make it black and white. And we don't feel great. We're dissociated from feeling great. And you've heard me joke before. Oh, Bill, how was your week? Well, I did win the Nobel Prize, but, it wasn't that much. It wasn't that big of a deal. Anybody could win the Nobel Prize. We will take our greatest movies and we will diminish them. We will dim them, as opposed to feeling that customer shake our hands, feeling that client call. We're excited to do business with you. We believe in your business plan. Associate to what you want. Write that down. Associate to what you want. Dissociate from what you don't want. Big words, but it's a simple concept, and you already do it well. You're just doing it in reverse.
Thank you for listening to the Inevitable Podcast. Please visit our website for more information on this extraordinary coaching system at www.theinevitableyou.com. Then, sign up for your 2-week free trial of our membership to gain access to hundreds of hours of amazing content and tools just like this. Now, back to Bill.
In the spirit of what we're talking this morning about how to associate and disassociate and play great movies for yourself, one of the reasons why people have a hard time doing this, there's this notion that life is a struggle. We have expressions like no pain, no gain, or nothing of great value comes without blood, sweat, and tears. And there's some of you out there that have incredible greatness, have incredible, awesome moments happen to you. And you almost have to sabotage it so that you have to work hard to get it back so that you can give value to it. Because if you're carrying a program in your mind, in your psychology, that life has to be a struggle in order to create value, you won't accept easy value. You'll create struggle to get it. And as you hear me say these sentences, if you're listening and feeling this, you're probably going like, wow, I do that. Isn't that a stupid way? Don't you think that in the flow of life, in the abundance that is this planet, that you would have an incredible ability to manifest and create and attract and have greatness and easiness and flow, and it absolutely comes easily. But, and it's a but, not an and, I have an incredible friend. He's a great guy. He challenges me. We talk about a lot of deep things in life. We had this incredible conversation. One of the metaphors that I use a lot in life, I try to give people metaphors on struggle having value and really permitting them to create breakthroughs. So I always ask people, I say, pick one of three. You get butterfly, you get fire and iron, or you get roots and droughts. And they'll pick one. So the butterfly is the struggle to get out of the chrysalis, to wring all the water from its wings. The iron is not created in a weak fire. And in fact, the stronger the iron and steel that you want, the higher the furnace must be. So if you've got a really badass furnace going on in your life where you're really being burnt badly, you can look at the fact that you are forging incredibly powerful steel if you choose it. And then I always ask about here, and one part of the planet is this bush. It's in someone's yard, it's watered, it's fertilized, it's tended, it's loved. And then in another part of the planet, when a seed blew off that bush, it went up onto the hogback. It's stuck on the side of this barren hillside. It's scrawny, it's scraggly, it's barely surviving. And I ask the question, which has the deeper root system? Virtually everybody answers the pretty bush. But that's not true. Because when you water some, in fact, that's why you don't overwater something, because the root systems then only lie in the top of the soil. They don't have to go deep. They get all the water up there that they want. And in fact, they want to stay there because that's where water comes from, that nourishes them. So they're susceptible to root rot. They're susceptible for the easiest wind to come along the planet because they're not deep roots. They get blown right out of the ground. Meanwhile, that scrawny little sucker that's hanging on's got a 30-foot root going down because that's where its water comes from, where its life and survivability comes from. So you can look at a drought in your life and know that you're producing some hairy, mongossal, badass roots. It's your choice. If success comes at the point of flow and abundance comes at the point of making life easy, what do we do with these challenges and these struggles that is producing greatness? And man, it was a great question. Because in many respects, as I've always said, this is not about perfection. The show's never about you have to be perfect. It's about awareness. Are you awake? Are you awake in your life, experiencing everything that life has to give you? And are you conscious? Do you own it? And in that space, and I've looked at some of my challenges over the last handful of months. I was expanding my business last year, and I made several capital expenditures, and I was at the point of expansion, and I was at the point of raising capital. I got my private placement memorandum done on September 21st, 2008. Anybody know what happened the week before that? Yeah. So I'm not just busting on you guys to change your state and to create a different way of looking at things. I'm doing this myself. I'm living in the same economy that you guys are. And my board and I decided to put the PPM on hold. So we didn't go out and raise money. And I had overextended planning on that, building it, knowing they would come, and all of a sudden I'm in an abyss. And I have been digging my way out of that abyss since September. And I'm almost out. And I am doing more great work than I've ever done. Had I had raised the money that I was looking to raise and created the project that I was going to create last fall, I'm sure it would have had a great outcome. But when I raise the money this time, it's going to be even more magical because of the struggle that I undertook. So you have this very curious awareness, this consciousness that I want you to ask. And when you look at your life and you listen to me, it's easy for me on the radio to say, oh, be positive, be happy. You could go, yeah, life isn't fair. Life isn't fun. My life isn't. And I'm struggling, and there's no evidence of flow anywhere. Now, we talked about your ability to time travel, your ability to create the movie that's playing in your psychology. You have the ability to create different movies in your psychology. You already do that today. So in this space of what is struggle and what is flow, struggle many times is the vehicle to allow you to transcend from this place to the next plateau so that flow will happen there. There's an Einstein phrase that the thinking that's needed to solve a problem you have today by law cannot be the thinking that created the problem. The thinking that's needed to solve a problem you have today cannot be the thinking that created the problem. You must use new thought, new approaches. You need to time travel to the future to grab your greatness there and figure out how to solve the solution. And that's what takes you to the next chapter, the next plateau. And so when you look at struggle today and go, gosh, I'm not in flow, this isn't working for me, it may be because you're struggling half empty because you're playing crappy movies, or it may be that the very same struggle is wringing water from your wings so that you can soar. Only you can decide that. Only you can experience this. And it's not what's happening to you. It's what you do with what's happening to you that ultimately creates your reality. It's what you do with it. It's how you frame it. It's what movie do you plug into your psychological DVD player in your mind there to look at this and say, my small business is struggling. My sales unit is struggling. My child, my teenager is struggling. I am struggling. What does it mean? Does it mean that I stink and I'm not supposed to have the spoils and greatness of life? Or does it mean, oh my goodness, I'm ready for the next plateau? And I promise you, whatever movie you watch repeatedly is the outcome you will experience. Whatever movie you're playing in your mind is the ending that you will see. If you see yourself as a hero, you get heroic endings. It's not perfect. It's not always when, and it's not always exact. But here's the cool thing about that. You know why it's not always when and exact? Because sometimes when you're in struggle to create flow or you're in flow, the world serves it up to you faster, bigger, better than you even ask for because you didn't ask big enough. But when you create a movie and act out that role and engender this process of greatness, life accelerates, life takes off, and sometimes the when and how is even bigger and better. That's the promise that awaits you. Change your movie. Associate to what you want. Look at your sales team, your small business, your family, you. Look at you. Look at your health. Are you focused on your dis-ease or your fatness or what you don't want in your body? Or are you focused on what you want? Are you playing the movie that the gym experience is incredible for you? Even though you may not feel perfect in going into the gym today because you're not like the other athletes that are there, change the movie. Play what you want. Watch what you want. Hear the ending that you want. Put big movie soundtracks in. It will happen for you.
Thank you for listening to the Inevitable Podcast. Please visit our website for more information on this extraordinary coaching system at www.theinevitableyou.com. Then, sign up for your 2-week free trial of our membership to gain access to hundreds of hours of amazing content and tools just like this.